Good morning. It's Michelle and Olive, and we're here to talk to you about the books that we read together in January. She loves to read with me. It's something that we do a lot, right? And sometimes I read out loud to her, and she loves that too. You're so cute. I did reading vlogs all month long and got real in depth about what I thought about the different books that I read. And I thought it might be nice to just do a quick, here's what I thought, boom, here's what I thought, boom, kind of thing. And also, one of you asked about my reading journal, wanting to see it. Sorry, the blinds are moving over here and it's super bright outside. So that's what I wanted to do, was show you my reading journal at the end. I've actually got a couple of reading journals. I read a lot of books in January, and I don't normally read this many books. I'm not really sure how it happened. I'm assuming it's because I was sick for most of the month. So the first book that I read this month was Someday Maybe, and this is by Anya Mabinelli. This book is about a woman whose husband commits suicide, and obviously she's upset, but she had no idea that he was even depressed or upset, and it goes through her grief. And it is a very sad book. It does feel kind of long-winded at times with what she does, and some of the decisions that she makes are kind of irritating for me anyway. But I thought it was really beautifully written, and I thought it was a very honest take on grief. I loved the relationship that she had with her friends and with her family, and she just had a really good support system around her, and I gave it 5 stars. You liked it too, right? I remember you were pretty into it. I read it out loud to her a couple times. Now, this one I did read physically, but I also had it on audiobook, which is wonderful, to be honest, because sometimes it started feeling a little bit drawn out, and I was able to just do the dishes while I listened, and it made it so much easier. I'm sorry if my face is a little bit swollen. I think I mentioned that I had a tooth removed. It was my back tooth down here, and the sun has been driving me nuts. So I decided to move where you are. Sorry, I know this looks really messy, and it probably is kind of messy, but there's scratches all over it from before we moved in. Apparently somebody had a dog that like really scratched the glass a lot. On the outside, I don't know. So I started The Inside of a Dog, which is a nonfiction book about understanding your dog and how they feel, and it's written in a way that is not very entertaining to read. So I've been very slowly reading it. I have no idea when I'm going to finish it or if I'll finish it. I don't want to declare it a DNF because I have read a few pages at a time here and there, but I'm just really struggling. I want to understand her, but in a way that's more entertaining. Then I read The Hacienda, and this was another 5-star read for me. I have been just really hitting some good books lately, to where so many of the books that I read are 5 stars. And I'm loving that. I wish every book that I read was a 5-star. Of course, it's not the way it works, but if they were, I'd probably read a lot more because they're so hard to put down, right? And I just thought this was a really good historical fiction. It had a ghost in it. It had a haunting in it. It was kind of creepy at times. It was about love and relationships. It was a historical fiction. I had a really good time learning about this era and this, what life was like then. And the house had its own personality, which for me really makes a book. If a house or an office building or some kind of a structure has a personality of its own, it really enhances reading for me. I tried to listen to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and I just didn't like it. I found the characters to be unlikable to the point of not wanting to listen anymore. I didn't care at all what happened to them. I'm all about unlikable characters, but not when it's to the degree that they're kind of obnoxious about it. I think that when it comes to books about a crime that occurred or a murder that occurred during college, and people are coming back later and trying to find out what really happened, I think The It Girl by Ruth Ware was better. That's just my opinion, and I know I'm probably alone here because so many people loved In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Then I listened to They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. This one was also a dark academia book, but this one was about two women who kill men that have wronged women. But I don't mean like they hurt someone's feelings. I mean like they raped somebody, or they did a gang rape, or they killed someone, or something like that. So it's kind of like a dark academia feminist version of Dexter. I thought it was really good. It really gave a good nod to how the system fails victims. There was some steamy girl on girl sex. It was a quick, easy book to read. And I just wish there was more about the system and how much we don't really do a lot to help the victims, and we treat victims like they're the perpetrator. You've got all the other people who don't even want to report things that happen to them because they know how much it will affect and or ruin their lives, and how much they might not be believed. It's a really interesting topic to me, and yeah, I just wanted to know more. I wanted to go deeper, so I give this one 4 stars, but it's definitely worth a read if you're into such subjects. I did a reread. I've been trying to do certain prompts each month, and this was my reread. It was While I Was Gone by Sue Miller. This was originally a Oprah book club selection way back in the late 90s, I think. And I read it then and loved it and kept rereading it. I still love it, but in a different way. It's a very slow burn book. The antagonist has a lot of flaws. If you don't like unlikable characters, you might not like this book. Or if you don't like slow burn books, you might not like this book. But it is so beautifully written. The storyline itself is so original. And I just love this book. I love her writing. To me, her writing is like drinking a mug of chamomile tea or something. There's just something so relaxing and soothing about her. And I gave it 5 stars again. Then I read Lock and Key by Joe Hill. I'm really enjoying this graphic novel series. The first one I gave 5 stars to. I gave 4 stars to this one. I didn't think it was as good, but also I made the mistake of watching the show, or a few episodes of the show, and it was so completely different than the graphic novels that it kind of put a weird spin on it and turned me off to both of them. So I've decided that I'm just going to finish the series, and then eventually I will watch the show. But I do still want to keep going with it, and hopefully I'll get number 3 soon. Hi! Oh, I love you too. I love you too. Then my classic book for the month was A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. Oh my gosh, I loved this book. This might be my favorite book of all time. It might have knocked a couple other books that are always in my 1 and 2. Might have knocked them out. I have to figure out, is it number 1 or number 2? I don't know. I need to think about it. Just made my heart swell for this girl. It's a coming of age story about a girl named Francie living in Brooklyn in the early 1900s, which was kind of fun because my family and Brad's family, when I do genealogy, both lived in Brooklyn for a while. His longer than mine, but still it's kind of got like a place in my heart for that reason, and it made me think about what my ancestors may have gone through when they got here. I loved the relationship that she has with her dad in this book. I love her aunt. I love the relationship she has with her brother. This is another one where she's just got these wonderful people around her. And I don't even know if she realizes how wonderful some of them are until later in her life. But I cried in this book like a baby. And then later, when I was telling my husband about what happened in it, I started crying like a baby again. And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, no, I'm not. If you like Kristen Hanna books, I'm going to say go ahead and read this because it takes place in a historical time and it's so beautiful and it's so heart-wrenching and wow. Then I read Grady Hendrix, How to Sell a Haunted House. I thought this book was really good. It was definitely creepy at times. It was gory at one point where I thought I might throw up. But it was so much more than a horror novel. It was a family drama about the dynamics between siblings and what happens when we feel like our sibling was the favorite and we weren't. What happens when we feel like our sibling was closer to our parents than we were, but yet we deserve more than our sibling does because we understood what they would have wanted better. That kind of thing. Like, it goes pretty deep into that. And then you've got a bunch of dolls and puppets that their mother owned. She was a collector and a puppeteer. And the house is haunted with these dolls and puppets, and it gets so creepy. But there's just so much in this book. There's so much to it. It was also funny. And I thought it was really good. It just, at times, it was a little bit drawn out. It was definitely another slow burn book. I loved it. I'm a big Grady Hendrix fan, though. So what else is new? Of course, I loved it. I like horror novels. And I gave this one 4.5 stars. I rounded it down to 4, though, because it was so drawn out at certain times. Also, this book is divided into the 5 stages of grief, which I thought was really cool. Then for the Killer Reads book club with H.A. Dunn, I read The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. It's a good storyline. It's a little bit confusing in the sense that there's so many characters that all seem similar to me. I thought the last third or maybe 2/3 of the book was pretty good, but the beginning was kind of weird for me. And there was a lot of sexism and homophobia, and it just grated on my nerves. I've just been going through some stuff dealing with that lately to where it just bothered me more than it probably normally would. But it was a good book. It was very well written. He's got a very good noir style writing that I definitely appreciate. So I give this one 3.5 stars. I'm going to round it down to 3, though, because it just wasn't as epic as the second book that he wrote, which was, I think, Farewell, My Lovely. Sorry, I don't know where I put my copy. I can't find it anywhere. Farewell, My Lovely was a 5-star read for me, where I had underlined passages from so many pages it was hard to keep track of. I thought that book was phenomenal. And yes, there's sexism in there, and there's probably homophobia in there too, and whatever else because of the era. It takes place in the late 1930s. If you can be patient with the fact that it's a historical book, I just thought it was so much better. Just my opinion. But if you've read that whole series, let me know if you think I would like the 3rd one. Because I'll read it, just maybe at a time when I'm not feeling so sensitive about sexism. I listened to Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinbrough. I thought it was really good. I just found it to be kind of over the top in certain ways. I didn't think it was very realistic. And once again, it's so weird because I do like unlikable characters, okay? But in this one, I didn't either. There was nothing about them, no substance to them that made me feel attached to them in any way. I felt like they were very one-dimensional. But the storyline itself was very wild, and it kept me guessing, and I did get through it pretty quickly. And unpopular opinion, I think I like the show more than the book. I gave this one 3 stars. I read the graphic novel, The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill, which my friend Dia at Novel Idea recommended to me, and I loved it. I thought it was so good and so cute, and the pictures in here, the artwork, it's just so beautiful and hopeful. There's something very hopeful about it. I'm really wanting to read the next one. I kind of want to just get, there's a set that you can get of all of them, and I kind of want to get that. But if I ever have extra money, I'll go ahead and get it. But I thought this was so good. I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star read for me. The only reason it wasn't 5 stars was I felt like there wasn't a whole lot to the storyline. It kind of felt like it was an introduction to the series, which that's fine. It just didn't have as much to it as I'm assuming the next books will. But I really enjoyed it, and it feels like the kind of book that I could just pick up when I'm having a bad day to relax. And that's part of why I want to get the whole set of the series. Then I listened to The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and that one is, you're probably all pretty familiar with that one, but it's a destination wedding thriller. And I thought this one was done better than any of the destination wedding thrillers I've read. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I liked the storyline, but there was a lot of holes in the storyline. A lot of plot holes, I guess you would call it. And I felt like the ending was really rushed, and I felt like there was certain things that weren't explained that I wanted to know. But I did really enjoy it. I just love her writing so much. And now I want to get her other books, her backlist books, because The Paris Apartment, I absolutely loved. It was my favorite book of the year last year. I enjoyed The Hunting Party. I think it was a 4-star read for me. And I give this one 4 stars as well. And I hate to admit this because I think everybody loves this book, but it's the Fruits Basket manga book. I don't know why. I just couldn't get into it. I couldn't tell the characters apart for some reason. And I kept getting confused about what was going on. And around page 200, which it's just under 400 pages, I just decided to stop reading it because I just couldn't get into it the way I wanted to. I've tried so many book journals, and I found that I prefer just putting them together myself. And the way that I do it, I just have this plain notebook that I put stickers on and everything. And I print out this top part here. I fill in how many stars and the information, and then I write my notes about the book. Also, what I'll do is I will write down page numbers and quotes of quotes in the book that I really like. And if I've decided that I'm keeping a book for good, I'm not going to write all the quotes though, because I read so many books now. It just seems a little crazy to do that. And I am planning on putting some stickers in some of the open spots in my book journal, but I guess I need to get more stickers because it feels like I never have the kind of stickers that are applicable to what I'm reading. But that's how I'm doing my book journal now. And then I've got a book binder here. I put the year, and then I've got a piece of paper for each month. So here's an example of January where I write down what I'm reading, which prompt. Here's a list of the prompts that I want to read. And I just kind of keep track of the days and how many stars and all that here before I do the book journal. And I find that that works really well. And on the months where I have something that I'm wanting to read, that'll be up at the top. Otherwise, I'm just doing a very spur of the moment TBR where I do kind of a mood reading list. And then I've got a section in here with tabs, I've got a section in here where I put what book I selected each month for book of the month. And then I've got a section where I put series information. So this one is the Domestic Diva series by Krista Davis. I've got a list of characters, and then I have a list of the books in the series. Then I've got what I think the layout of her house is. I get really into homes when I read books. And then the neighborhood is kind of a big deal in this series. So I have a little drawing of the neighborhood and where I think each person lives in the neighborhood. So I've got that for a few different series here. And then I've got a section where I keep track of the book tags that I do, especially the ones that I think I want to do more than once. I've also got a section where I keep track of the most anticipated books for each season of the year. And that actually kind of helps me decide if I want to pick a book for book of the month, or maybe if I want it so bad, maybe buy a new release book. And then what I used to do in 2021 and 2022 was I would print out all the images of the books that I would read and put it here. But I decided for 2023 to go ahead and print each one as I'm reading it, so I have an image of the book with the information on the book and with the review and all that. And I think I like it this way more. But my book journals are constantly evolving and changing. Oh, and I wanted to show you this. I love this. B.C. Andrews is an author that really got me into reading when I was in junior high. And this is a quote from my favorite book of hers, which is My Sweet Audrina. It says, "What is normal? Normal is only ordinary, mediocre. Life belongs to the rare, exceptional individual who dares to be different." Yes, I love that quote. I think it's so good. And then I do have one other little, I just started this one, this book journal. And what this is a list of just notes on videos. And what I mean is if somebody recommends a book to me, I will make a note of it, because I keep talking about books that have been recommended and I can't remember who recommended it. So now I'm keeping a list of that, and I'm also keeping a list of the different tags that people tag me in, and that way I can keep track of whether or not I've done the tags. I don't know if there's, I don't see myself doing all the tags that I get tagged in, because I don't know, it just, some of them don't feel like the tag for me to do, but hopefully this will help me keep on track with my next big book purchase. I like to go online and do these book purchases with eBay or Better World Books, or I like to get books at thrift shops. I really have an audience today, don't I? You're so interested in what I'm saying. So this should really help me with that. What are you doing? What are you doing, you silly girl? You silly girl. Do you want to go for, you want to go outside? Do you want to say? Right now, I'm reading Dune. I just started it. I'm about 50 pages in. It's pretty slow, but I think I like it. Luckily, my husband has read it before, so he's giving me a lot of insight into the book. And I did print out a character list, and I think that's helping as well. And I haven't decided what book I'm listening to next. So I guess you'll find out in my next reading vlog. So let me know also if you want me to do these at the end of the month. If you, because I understand that the reading vlogs where it's really drawn out and I'm really going in depth about what I think about books, and you know, there's a lot of footage of this cute one behind me here. That might not be for everybody. So if you prefer these shorter, here's what I read, like quick review kind of thing at the end of the month, let me know. I'd be happy to do both. I think they both have their value. So let me know if you read anything in January, what your favorite book of January was. My favorite book of January, even though I had multiple 5-star reads, was A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. I love it so much. I can't wait to watch the movie. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Olive says bye, but she wants to go outside, so she's ready for this video to end. Right? You want to go outside? Want to go outside? Okay. Bye.